対策はそうそう、そんな対策を見たかったんだよ。強化と風、まさか特攻する気？空中って安全圏を得て攻撃が単調になったのかな。攻撃が一直線すぎるよ。まだ。
All right, my friends, here we have 𝐒𝐶𝐼MICHI episode number 11, and here we are with I'm at two minds. Now, you're not going to convince me otherwise, so I'm just going to say this as a statement as it's factually true to me. Nobody can convince me otherwise that what we just witnessed and what we've been witnessing are filler episodes. I think pretty much up to the heroes part. I think the hero stuff is totally necessary in all their backstory, where they come from, their significance in the story, and their significance of into the story that will happen later on once more machinations come between Makoto and the demi-plane and the goddess's peons that she has spread across the world. And I think, you know, that was totally needed. Now, all the school stuff, all the research stuff, all the everything else, you can't convince me that it's not filler. Now, to be clear, before I get castrated in the comments, filler is literally just described as things that fill out the context of the anime that might not necessarily be core, inherently useful, or needed to the core story. Filler can be things that contextualize the world, contextualize the main character, contextualize side characters, that show us a glimpse of what they do in their day-to-day lives, that show us a glimpse of what they're doing on summer break, that show us a glimpse of what they're doing in the demi-plane, that show us a glimpse of how Tomoe or Mio may come through different power-ups that include Shiki and all the other characters. So filler is just that. It's filling the gaps that might be there when you have the core story that is kind of moving forward. At the end of the day, Goku and Piccolo getting their license is super cool, and knowing that is freaking awesome, but you can delete that because it doesn't really matter in the context of the Cell games or the Majin Buu story, whatever that took place. I don't quite remember. But it, again, is things that could potentially be entertaining, which this was. I was entertained. I thought this was a really cool, fun episode, and I had a pretty good time watching it. Was it needed? No. Could you delete this? Yes. If Makoto suddenly had a gooey form later on, would you be like, when did that happen? Absolutely. Are you going to really be like, is that going to be the thing that completely deters you from enjoying a really big battle between him and the goddess, or between him and the negative hero, or between him and some other big bad wolf or dragon or bear? No, it's not. You'll just be like, oh, when did he get that? And then they could have one statement of like, oh, I learned it over summer break. You're like, oh, he learned it over summer break. And we just move on as a unit. Now, with that being said, like I said, this is filler. And but part of me is like, oh, this was entertaining. This was fun. I laughed. I thought the competition between everybody in the demi-plane was really, really cool. I love how the what are they called? The Gorgons, or I forget what they are, but the flying, the flying, not monsters, but the flying beast folk, how they were just demoralized this whole entire episode, and there was a fixation on them, and all of that just completely entertaining, and I really loved it. And I laughed a lot when they were just getting pew-pewed out of the sky, and I laughed a lot when they hit the rock and got a 20. Like, I laughed, and I was thoroughly entertained all this episode. Don't get me wrong, I love the episode, but it's just that from the core things that have occurred, will be occurring, it's one of those things where it's like, well, I appreciate that we have 25 episodes. I think that's awesome that we have 25 episodes. I can't believe, I'm so giddy we have 25 episodes. But it's not like Mushoku Tensei, where we get a big chunk of episodes and it's like, yo, every episode is just like, even like Rudius being at school, it's like we're just getting thing after that, just kind of like, it's building up this story, you know, even like some of the mundane things are core to the story that they're trying to tell. The things that are happening here aren't core to the story. They're just cool, nice to have in additions. These would be like these would be the things that I imagine that the author has like a manga deadline, because they're gonna be in Shonen Jump this week, and they're like, oh, let me write that they have a contest in the demi-plane before I write the next big thing. Like it was due, you know, it's like a essay that was due on Friday and it's Wednesday. Like, oh shit. That's what I imagine here. And again, if you feel otherwise, like, that's awesome. These are just my feelings. This is just how I feel about it. Again, I was entertained this episode. I thought it was fun. I love seeing Mio and her wackiness, and her cooking is getting better and improving. I like that she created this hero based off Makoto's memories. I like that Makoto shared a really cool and tender moment with both him and Mio after they found him, and he really thanked them from like the bottom of their heart. And maybe they were kind of confused at why the hell he was doing that, but the sincerity within that they could totally feel, and they can really get to them. So I thought that was a really, really cool moment there. The moment that he shared with the librarian girl or the teacher, you know, at the school, I thought was really cool. You can totally tell that she's totally into him. I love that she perfectly picked out a book for him that had to do with mana. And it was like an essay on someone's journey with mana, which is perfectly timed and perfectly, it was perfectly well suited to the things that he was going through. And I can't wait till she becomes kind of like more in depth into this kind of stuff, because she'll definitely be more crucial as the show kind of flows out. I definitely love that. The little scenes of him like studying and battling and practicing mana, I thought those were really cool. That little like slideshow that they showed us, that was really cool, just to see how he's enjoying summer break. And on top of everything else, I like how it reminded us that Makoto is in fact a child. He's a kid still. He's still a teenager in, you know, what would be the equivalent of high school. So of course he's still in the learning phase. Of course he's still not doing X, not doing Y. Of course he's still doing Y and Z. Of course he's reminiscing on how he used to plan out his summers, because when you're a kid, you have no responsibilities. You can plan out your summers and plan your days and do all those things because you don't really have any responsibilities. His responsibilities now are the demi-plane and stuff, but he's done such a good job of staying up important people in important positions that more or less everything can kind of flow and generate and work without him needing to intervene. And that also extends to his stores and stuff. So he's done enough upfront work to not have to do all the grunt work. So again, I love the episode. I thought it was awesome, but you can't convince me it's not filler. So that's kind of my feelings of this episode. If I were to put a rating on it, I would say this episode was an 8 out of 10. I genuinely enjoyed it. Again, similarly to, I always call out the Goku and Piccolo go get their driver's license. I love that episode. It always stays in my memory, and I thought it was awesome. And there were so many episodes of DBZ or so many episodes of Fairy Tail, Naruto or Bleach that, like, yeah, they're filler, and you can totally skip this whole section of 12 episodes, but if you skip them, you're missing out on just some really entertaining stuff. But you can't skip them because they're not core to the story. Again, that's how I feel about this episode. I'm much more lenient or much more forgiving of a show that's going to have 100 episodes going through 11 or 12 episodes of filler than I am with the show that only has, if you add 25 in the last 12, 37 in total going through about a filler. But at the end of the day, hey, 37 is a lot of episodes. So I can't even complain, because in this day and age, we get 10, 11, 12, 13, and we never see an anime again. And if we do, we see it for another 11, 12, or 13, and we see it again in 7 years or 10. So anyways, those are my thoughts. I'll see you next week for more as we come up to the midway mark. The midway mark? I cannot speak. Midway. Dyslexia. Jeez. The midway mark for the winter season. All right, my friends. Peace.